All right. Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning, Missy. How are we doing?
Welcome to our first info session of the day here at the Natchitoches NSU Folk Festival. I am Dr. Kent Peacock. I'm the director of the Creole Heritage Center that's here at NSU. I'm also an assistant professor of history, but it is my honor and privilege to be here with Smithfield Fair with Jane, Dudley, and Bob. And really, my purpose here is just kind of to get things started and to help moderate as need be with questions and so forth. But we're here to have a chance to learn more about, I think specifically the title of this was about songwriting and songmaking, but I know you have years and years of experience to draw on about that, and I'm sure we will have questions about that and so forth. But I'm going to kind of hand it over to you all to, introduce yourselves and kind of, however you want to start to, whatever you want to talk about to begin with.
Well, I'll introduce us.
Thank you.
By the purpose of the festival this year, they work on a theme is crafting Louisiana. And Shane talked to us about crafting songs. And in crafts, you can follow a pattern and make a craft. It doesn't take any, the better the skill, the better the arsenal that you're making. But it's when you do something different with it, that's outside of that pattern, that things become art. You can write songs. I lived in Nashville for a while, and up there, songwriting is commercial. People are not writing songs because they feel that it's just in them and it's got to come out. There are those people, but most of those people up there are writing to make money, and they want to know what sells, and they want to be able to have songs that they can take to an artist and say, "Here's your next #1 hit." Because then that makes the artist happy to have a hit, and it makes his record company happy to rake in all the profits. Other songwriters, people like Jan may mention Mary Gauthier, who's from Louisiana, and Lucinda Williams, some of the people that are out there in the Americana circuit writing songs, they started writing songs before there was anything even mentioned about money. It was just what they did. That's sort of what we're about. Bobby and I started.
They're brothers, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, could you?
Bobby and I, this is Bobby Smith, by the way. He's my younger brother. This is Jan Smith. This is my wife. It's been a family band for most of our 50.
And who are you?
I'm Dudley Smith. We've been together. This is our 53rd year. Wow. And the thing that we have always attempted to do is bring our own original music to audiences. We started out like everybody else doing cover tunes in folk coffee houses back in the late 60s, early 70s. Alexandria, of course, was a little bit behind the times in trends, and so it kept its coffee houses longer than some of the other areas that were a little more attuned to trends and things like that. But we started writing songs to play our music, and then when I was in the Navy in Pensacola, I started this band, knowing we would do cover tunes, but hoping eventually our songwriting would get to the point where we could put those songs into the repertoire.
Yeah, but we were already getting, trading tapes and stuff to each other, for songs song ideas. So it wasn't like we had no inkling of doing it live and just squeezed in one and there. We were actually doing them because, and by the time we joined you in Pensacola, probably at least maybe 20% of the show had original tunes in it. The rest of them were covers.
But we've always attempted, and I'll say up front, there is no magic in songwriting. But then again, there's nothing but magic in songwriting. I remember reading an article with Paul Simon years and years ago, and he said he kept a notepad and a pencil beside his bed because he would get ideas, he'd wake up with ideas, and if he didn't write them down, his belief was that those ideas went back into the ether and somebody else got those ideas. I'm still waiting for Bridge Over Troubled Water to come back around. But, I feel like there may be some value in the fact that there are ideas floating around out there, but I believe more that God appoints some people to be songwriters and other people to be technicians and other people to be doctors.
Some people to be bass players.
Yeah, it's just it's a type of thing that you do. You have an inclination to, but songs don't come the same way every time. This time they may be a lyric that you write down, and 3 days later you hear the music to it. It may be one of those things where you're sitting at the piano and you play a song and oh, that's nice, and then later on you write lyrics. It may come all in one burst. I'm kind of that way. I get up in the early hours of the morning and write down whatever's in my head and try to capture it. It may be a nice lyric that ends up being just a poem. I just don't, it doesn't work as a lyric maybe. It may be a piece of music that just ends up being an instrumental, and the two pieces never come together. But sometimes I wake up and I scribble down the entire song as it comes out, and I pick up this guitar's other self, and I play an open tuning, so these guitars ring when you pick them up. I mean, I've got a capo line, so.
Yeah. There you go. That'll do it. Usually wakes everybody up about that time.
It's not doing it. Anyway, you get the gist. You walk into a room and breathe heavy, and these guitars ring. And a lot of times that's the key. And maybe I was playing last night and I left the capo on and it's in G, and so that's what I hear, and that's where it starts. And I go, oh, okay, here I go, and it all comes in at one time.
Yeah, and most of the time too, being kind of intuitive in the crafting of it, when you get together to make the song, and he says, "There's one. All right, let's look at this. What we want to do on it." You'll change words. You'll change. Sometimes you will change the key. And sometimes somebody will hear something in there, like they hear a bridge that's a little different, or they hear maybe an intro. Sometimes it may be percussive, sometimes it may be melodic, but that's the input that you start getting with that. And after we played enough, we all kind of fell into a harmony structure that you heard. And we each hear the harmonies that we were singing. And of course, when somebody got froggy and had a bad throat and we were playing somewhere, then you had to switch harmonies and stuff, and that was a learning experience there too, because if you only learn one way of singing the song, it's not very good. But I remember us joking about it when we started writing, that pretty soon we're going to have to learn how to sing along with playing these instruments. Because you don't think of that, but it is a challenge. It's a challenge to overcome. I know stellar musicians that I know that don't sing. They have lovely voice. They don't sing because no, it messes up me play. I just never could sing and play at the same time on there. And so those are little things that get tucked in there as you're writing on there. And Dudley's right. It is expressive, but sometimes it's the excitement that one of us has got a new song and and you want to hear it. And I've always, just for my part in the band, I've always liked being a bandsman, and I've always liked being part of it and whatever it takes to make it sound good. So it doesn't matter what the part is on it. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm playing bass or drums, percussion, or anything, wood flute. It's kalimba. Playing Jason LaJoy's Man's Desire on a kalimba is kind of a challenging thing, but your bleeding thumbs get used to it.
I want to hear that.
But it's things that it's things like that really make the I call us more of artisans than artists in there, because you're handling so many portions of what constructs a song on there.
Well, songwriting in a band approach too is different, because I think that in the crafting of it, putting the nuts and bolts of it together and the basics of it, you come up with sort of one set of precepts. And what ends up happening is then you shift those accordingly. Jan's an alto, And so if I write something as a baritone, she may not find it that same register. So we shift it. We go up a third or whatever, and suddenly I've moved my capo on my guitar, and that sonically changes things. You can play the same chord in about 6 different positions on the guitar neck, and each one of them is different, has a different personality because of the inversion that's in there.
Yeah.
And so if you shift the key on a song, I have guitar friends and former students that say, you know, I can play this guitar, I can play this song this way, but it doesn't sound right. Mm-hmm. But when I play it up here, it sounds right. It's the inversion that changes what you hear and what the emphasis is. So if we change it to fit her voice, that shifts the song a little bit. We may moderate the melody a little bit. We may change the way the harmony structure fits underneath it. Whether Bobby plays the third or the fifth or the tonic in that chord changes things like that. So after you write the song, after you've crafted the song itself, it undergoes, from a band standpoint, it undergoes a different development structure to get it to where it's now something that you can. I can't tell you how many of the songs that we play and that we'll play later on today are exactly as they started out, because the band has adapted to them.
No, that's true. And well, and I'm an alto, so I've got a limited range. I can't go too high, and then Bobby can with his falsetto. And so I think sometimes, you know, the audience doesn't know who's exactly doing what notes, because we move around.
Yeah, I remember Jan remarking to somebody sometime, yeah, I finally got in a band with Bobby who hears things higher than I do.
Right. I found my soprano. When they say we've been together 53 years, they really mean the two of them, because they started early. I think 15 y'all were singing in...
Please, Bed, Please, Follow Me Around, I think was the first song that Dudley wrote.
I think that was your first paying gig at 15.
My first paying gig was at 15.
And so I didn't join till 84 or 83. 83. But
so 10 years into the band, she comes into it.
Yeah.
But you know,
radical
prices. There was a price ceiling. We still were paying for about 15 a man.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't join it for the money, but I had. I was always at least a duo. I like harmony. I grew up in harmony and church choirs especially, and then we had a lot of harmony in our pop music then. I love the radio.
Indeed.
You know, you think about the Beatles, the Monkees, the Association.
Yeah.
They're big harmony bands, and I liked harmony, so that drew me to them. And I wrote my first song when I was about 15, and I had done some recording around town when it's just too long a story, all my stuff I did musically, but I showed up for a music recording. A friend of mine and I played at a festival. The guy said, "Can I have your number in music?" And I thought, no. And she said, "Yes." And so she gave him the phone number. Well, I guess a year later he calls and says, "I'm doing the festival, and I'm doing a recording. We're doing Christian music of Baton Rouge, and I've got all these people coming, and my backup singers dropped out."
He lied.
I don't know. She said, "Okay." So I said, "Oh, okay, well." So we show up, and the whole thing was a sham. He didn't pay the studio. He ran out of town. He has some of the best people in Baton Rouge in there. I mean, top notch. And anyway, when I showed it for rehearsal, that's when I met Dudley. And I said, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" He goes, "No." "Yes, I do. We finally figured out y'all played at Poets in Baton Rouge."
Yeah.
And I had years and years before, and I had gone to hear them and loved the band because they were harmony. And so I said, well, I've always wanted to cut an album. That was just one of my goals in life. I had a handful of songs I had written. 36 albums later, we've had 30, is it 36 or 37?
Yeah, 36.
Wow.
Yeah,
I remember
got what I asked for.
I remember when Dudley broached that he had met Jan and invite her over to hear some songs and stuff. And I was enchanted with it because that was the first time we had ever, entertained, well, in a long time, entertained somebody else. But most everybody else we sang with, it would be a cover tune. You're getting somebody into, protraction of the song. And that sometimes worked out. Most of the time it did. But here it was, Jan was writing her own tunes, and she has some really neat stuff. And it really, we just fell into the harmony structure of it nicely. It was like it was kind of meant to be on there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Joel, we had for years and years, we were a trio with our brother Joel.
yeah.
And so when Joel left to move to Germany, we weren't sure what we were going to do. I met Jan. She fell into that. We did the album. We were going to do the album as a duo. And then I said, well, we need a bass on this. And so Bobby said, oh, yeah. I'll do it. And that.
They turned my music into gold. It was just
They say the
lovely
rest
to
is
hear.
history. We just,
Yeah.
we've moved on from them. But when you change anything, it shifts your song some.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that I find to be fascinating, even after having written, I'm 71 now, so I've been writing songs that long. And one of the things I find so interesting is, first of all, I can't stop. I keep writing.
He really can.
That's true.
I said I was not going to write anymore. I've copywritten so far 20 songs this year.
Wait, that was also tied with not doing any more albums, and that was
Yeah.
around album number 29. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
But you try to slow down, but you end up it's just innate. You keep doing it. But one of the things that I wanted to say, I wanted to include in this is that there is no right or wrong way to write songs, to craft songs. You basically go with what you do, with what feels good to you. I think that there's a philosophy that I kind of knocked around over the years, and that's it, just be a receptor. And you're kind of like a radio. The signal comes from somewhere. You don't know exactly where it is, but you broadcast it. And I think that's it stood me in good stead. I've just always been sort of receptive to it. I write a lot. I write everything down. I've got notebooks and stuff going back all of these years. Some are good ideas. Some are not so good ideas. I went to Boulder in 1979, and I knocked around a little bit. There didn't seem to be anything happening for me in the kind of music that we did. I'd taken a break from the band. It was the only break I've ever had in those years. And I went up to Boulder and I said, this is not happening. I've been here a couple of months, it's not happening. And I went into a music store and I had met a guy there and we got to be good friends. And I asked him, I said, you think I ought to go back to Louisiana? He goes, well, if you're going back to Louisiana, and he points at a bulletin board over there, he says, Last Recording Studio is doing a special for the next couple of weeks. 4 hours of tape and time for $100. He said, you ought to go down there. It's a good little studio. Do a demo tape. And you'll have something to take back with you for this time. And I'd written a couple of new songs while I'd been up there. So I said, okay. So I went and wrote them. I'm going to try to do this real quickly. So I did that tape. That tape got me to work with a production company and in a band. Okay, so I do ultimately leave after a year, and I came back to Louisiana. We go back to playing, and we do some of those songs for a while, but you write new songs, you're more excited about it, and you do new songs, and then those other songs fall out of the mix. Some of the songs you put on albums and you move on. You can't play every song on every album live. You've written this wealth of stuff that at the time you really believed in. So in 1982, we released a record called Must Be the Gypsy. And there was a song on it called It's Never Too Late. And in about 2022, not that old, 2022, I got a call from a record company in Los Angeles. Said, are you that guy that wrote It's Never Too Late on that album? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I have a record label and I release obscure acoustic music.
Oh, we fit that.
And I said, well, okay. So we signed with Forager Records in LA. They did a compilation album of a song from, 44 years ago. And they put that on there. The next thing happened, like 6 months later, I get a call from a guy in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Yes.
And he says, are you that guy? Yeah, I'm that guy. Why people love this
Denmark
song?
always,
It was
yeah.
a throwaway that we did so we could kind of stretch out a little bit, or somebody could go to the bathroom while we were on stage, or get a glass of water or something. And it really was not what I considered to be one of the, iconic signature songs that I'd ever written.
Personally, I liked it myself, but that was a
So
different story.
a London company has now released a record with something from that album on there, and Finland's done a radio broadcasts focusing on us and that. And a company in Slovakia the guy in Denmark bought a lot of copies of those old albums. The guy in Slovakia owns stores from Slovakia through to Japan. They sell old vinyl. He bought everything we had in the warehouse that was on vinyl.
Yeah.
So you never really know, although you're a receptor and you broadcast that, you never really know where it will come back to you. And so the encouragement is to write as well as you can all the time. Believe in what you put out there. Songs come in different ways. That was a groove that Bobby and I used to play. It was just something I came up with, 3 chords, and it's
3 chords and the truth.
it's not the truth. It was almost nonsensical words. It's never too late,
Yeah, and Dudley would always get to the point where if the song was stale enough on stage, all of a sudden he'd be coming out with a few different lyrics here and there, or transforming it. It was
Make
rather
things
interesting.
different.
I don't want to put you all on the spot, but do you want to play a little of it and sing a little
Yeah, well, I'll
of
show
it?
you
Or
how simple it is.
yeah,
This song is on our new album, by the way. We have a new album out
Called Never Too Late.
called Never Too
We
Late.
always have a new album.
yeah.
Well, you're supposed to.
Well, Dudley is a prolific writer. He is what you really call a writer. He can't stop. He tries, he cannot stop. Writes every single day. And, out of tune yet?
Yeah, we'll do a little bit of the groove, a verse, a chorus, and then we'll stop. We'll
Yeah.
just give you an idea where it
Yeah,
is.
give us a
But this is Never Too Late. We played exactly when all of this started happening. I was kind of on mind by the way, I think the Air Force is the reason that this stuff got all over the world. England Air Force Base. Wingnuts used to come in and hear us play every time. When we started releasing albums, they bought them, and then they get transferred.
Sure.
And so that's how these albums end up in cutout bins in Copenhagen, in Finland, in Slovakia. These people found these records. They didn't find us, really. They found old records. So this was the groove. You'll hear this. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I need a tune.
This is a verse. Safe in the distance, I wait the call to be a part of the living and giving my all. When in a moment my secret disgrace builds a wall all around me, yeah, they'll forget my face. Here's the chorus. It's never too late. I run for the blue skies and fly on the wall, then wait fireside side, with visions of some place where time turns again, and it's never too late, my friend. Not too late, my friend. Here's the hook. This is my favorite part. Do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do. And it ends like this. Do-do-do-do. That is, regardless of what it was written for, why it was written, how it was written, it was put together, and it was to demonstrate, and it does even today, demonstrates what we do. Acoustic instruments, harmony vocals. We love those vocals where there's no words on there, that just, you sing, you know, do-do-do-do-do. And
Vocals, that's
and
vocalization.
It's everything rolled into one. So it actually was, you know, a signature song that we hadn't really thought of. But I'll wrap this up by saying, what time?
We got 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
We'll wrap up and open for questions. Yeah.
One of the things that you have to be is receptive, not only to your own talents, but to the ideas that you get. Nobody can ever tell you that you're doing it wrong. I worked in Nashville, I worked in Los Angeles, I've been in a number of different music markets and situations. I've worked with some great people. I at one time worked with the great bassist Carol Kay, who was part of the Wrecking Crew, and Michael Webb and people like that. Your journey will take you all around to a lot of things. You'll meet a lot of people. Don't ever let them tell you you're wrong. But at the same time, listen to what they say. You can learn something from everybody. I have sat before some of the worst songwriters in the world that I've heard and learned something from them. Ooh, that's a nice progression. Oh, that's a great turn of phrase. That's nice. I remember Tommy James saying one time that somebody asked him where the phrase "crystal blue persuasion" came from. That was a song that was very popular in the late 60s. And he said a kid came up to him with a poem and said at some festival and said, "Look, I've written this poem." And he said it was actually a terrible poem. He said, but he used the expression "crystal blue persuasion" in the poem. That was part of one of his phrases. He said there were nonsensical phrases. He said, I couldn't get that phrase out of my mind until I sat down with my guitar and wrote the song "Crystal Blue Persuasion." So you can learn something from everybody. You can pick up all sorts of things. I have sat before some people that it was mind-boggling what they did. They're Tommy Emmanuel kind of guitar players that just can do everything. And come away with a 3-chord love of something. So in that there's no wrong or right way to write songs. Listen to your heart, listen to your head, what you do. Try to get better at it. Get better at playing guitar, piano, whatever it is you write on. Try to get better at scribbling them down on a piece of paper so you'll remember what you did the next time. Keep a tape recorder if you're a vocalist especially and you're working with melodies. I have a little 4-track recorder. I can't tell you, especially this year, how many times I've gone out there, took my guitar off the wall and punched record on that and played what was in my head. And glad I did it later because I could turn it on and say, oh, that's the way that idea went. So that's kind of what we do as songwriters. Each of us writes. Bobby writes mostly words first, or he writes music first. Yeah. But he doesn't generally, I don't think that he writes both of them at the same time a lot of times. Yeah. He comes up with ideas. He's one of the best at arranging things and finding bits and pieces that you never thought about.
Oh, he finds a harmony.
You never,
it just
would never
shifts.
Pick that note.
Almost like jazz. I call it jazz harmonies.
Well, our dad was a swing musician, so some of that's in there too.
Yeah,
Jan writes painstakingly. words,
Yeah.
gets her poetry right first, and then sits down with the guitar or piano and puts it.
And then I want to interject. I want to talk about Mary Gaucher. She's from Louisiana, and I just finished her book. I finished it like a week ago. It's called Saved by a Song. And she is not just a songwriter, but has that teacher gift. So the book reads really well, fast, and she quotes classical writers, current writers, you know, not just songwriters. And it's a fascinating book. She approaches, because of her experiences, she approaches songs like therapy. To her, it's therapy. And she even does therapeutic songwriting sessions with, there's a program with veterans that she has been real key with. But I think I identified with that because a lot of the songs that I write, when I'm, it is sort of when I'm sad. And so I don't write a lot of them, and it might take me 5 years to tweak it, because in fact, just the other day I was doing something and I went, oh, that's a better word there. You know, it's already recorded, it's gone, but
Like windowsill.
yeah, like windowsill. He doesn't like the sill on it. Anyway, it's a good book. She makes a lot of good points, and I would encourage songwriters to read it. She's a little bit, it's kind of gritty because she had some bad experiences that led her to music more as therapy. I think music can be joyous. I think it doesn't have to be therapeutic, but it can be. And the quotes, a lot of the quotes that she used were just fabulous. But it's called Saved by a Song, and it's Mary Gaucher from our wonderful state.
Okay, before we open up for any questions, we will be performing at
Yes.
McGale Recital Hall at noon. We're going to do the inductions, welcoming ceremonies here in a few minutes, and then we're going to go over to McGale for a noon performance in McGale Recital Hall, and that's in the Performing Arts Center. Hop, skip, and a jump from here. Thank you for coming out and listening to us prattle on. I will leave you with, we'll open this to questions, but I'll leave you with one thing that is groundbreaking. If you're a songwriter and you're looking for a rhyme to orange, it's a door hinge.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any questions?
Questions?
Don't be afraid, you can ask questions.
No questions? All right. Well, thank you all very, very much.
Well, let me ask. I
I'll
made
ask the
some
question.
notes, and you
From a
know,
historical perspective.
being a good professor here and so forth,
That's right.
of course. But I wonder if you could. I know you mentioned you've lived in various places and so forth, but of course you're from Louisiana,
Yes.
and you live here and so forth. I'm just curious, is there something that you think comes out in your music or your songwriting and so forth that really is tied to Louisiana, or what from Louisiana, inspires you, and
Food.
Yeah, food.
I mean,
Yeah. Love and food and love of
Yeah.
food and food and love.
Okay.
But,
yeah,
there we
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think some of the images in our songs reflect where we live.
sure.
What you can do.
To Louisiana.
There'll be the water, there'll be sea,
Sure.
there'll be ocean, specifically. A lot of songs have references to heat.
I can't imagine
Yes.
why. I can't imagine.
Our song "Sweet Sugarcane" has been used for the last decade by the American Sugarcane League, which is the growers, as their theme song. They put it in documentaries. They've used it in dioramas. A friend from Colorado was at Oak alley plantation, and he said he walked in, he kept going, what am I he walked into a room, there's a diorama about the sugarcane industry, and they're playing Sweet Sugarcane. It's in our songs. We write about growing up in the South, growing up specifically in Louisiana. Alexandria, where we grew up, Jan's from Baton Rouge, is the crossroads of Louisiana.
Yeah.
Our father was a swing musician, later a church musician. We grew up with every kind of music you can imagine coming through Alexandria in every form you can imagine. So we lean on all those experiences. But I'm going to point at Bobby over here and let him do a little bit of this song for you, and you'll know. You'll just know. From Kentucky across the Mississippi line, back to Louisiana, gonna have a good time. Coming back home to Louisiana. Go ahead. Roast pig, crawfish, passed by the dozen. Stick them in the oven. Bacon and ham.
All right, wait. No, it's a tongue twister. Here we go. Roast pig, 3, 4. Roast pig, crawfish, passed by the dozen. Stick them in the oven. Fixing up rice, beans, bacon and ham. Syrup, yes, ma'am. From Kentucky across the Mississippi line, back to Louisiana, gonna have a good time. Coming back home to Louisiana, coming back home to Louisiana. Food. Now, the progenitor of that was that friends of ours in LaRue were trying to write a chicken commercial for a fried chicken. What was it? Charlie's Fried Chicken, something like that. And we said, we could do that. And then I told my wife it was a love song. But anyway, it got close to it on there. It's also the theme song for our radio show that we have for our Monkey Buzz in Ville Platte with KVPI, so radio station. So, yeah.
Nice way to put the plug in there.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Well,
Want to do a little bit of sugar?
okay.
Well, let me make one more comment, and then I have a few people to thank and so forth.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
if you
sure.
want to do one more before you go, you're more than welcome to. But one of the things that I seem to have gotten from, as you all were talking, is I feel like some artists, and I think this is true for, even for academics, for writers, and it doesn't matter whatever. There's always this kind of hesitation to put your stuff out into the world.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I feel like the three of you all kind of talked about is you just need to go ahead and do that, because there is something that happens when your stuff gets out into the, it doesn't necessarily have to be the whole world.
No.
Maybe it's you've got your bandmates, you've got your close group of friends or whatever. You play for them, on a Saturday night, just at your living room or whatever, over a couple drinks or coffee or whatever it is. And there's something, once you get it out there, that you realize, oh, that word doesn't work, or that chord progression, that's really good, or it's something that you're like, I haven't figured this out yet, but somebody in that group is going to figure it out.
Yes,
And
yeah.
so taking that risk and putting it out there, because you never know if it just sits with you, if it sits in that notebook or whatever, it may never, nobody will ever learn it, and that's sometimes a shame. And
It is a shame.
She has a thing in the kitchen when I first met her, a little plaque that said, "Bloom where you are planted." I hated that plaque.
I was trying to like where I lived.
But after a
trying
while, you
so
realize
hard.
you do. You bloom where you're planted. And I have lived all over. I keep coming back to Louisiana. Like I said, every kind of music, every kind of opportunity, everything comes through here. So it's been very rewarding for us in that we consider ourselves a Louisiana band.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because that is a huge aspect of writing, is sharing it, and that is so scary. It really is. Even with people I trust, I go, I think I might have a song, and just,
But true, you learn from failure too. And that's, that's part of it. So
yeah.
Great. Yeah.
I've never failed. What do you want to close with?
Well, I was thinking,
Southern Soul.
Well, you guys decide. I'm gonna
I was thinking maybe sugar.
thank. I got a couple folks that I need to thank that made sessions like this and everything else that's going on here at the Folk Festival possible. So the Cane River National Heritage Area, the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, Louisiana Office of Cultural Development, the City of Natchitoches Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Shreveport Regional Arts Council, the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities, and the state of Louisiana itself. So that's a nice long list of wonderful sponsors and so forth that make events like this possible.
Yes,
So
thank you.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I am grateful to these.
yeah, and I will also put the reminder plug here as well that you'll be doing a whole slew of songs and so forth at 12 o'clock, right? 12 o'clock at Miguel Recital Hall. If you don't know where that is, if you're parked in the Prather Coliseum lot, you kind of walk away towards campus, towards the tall theater buildings that are kind of in the middle of campus. It's about a 4 or 5 minute walk. It's not bad, although parking over there too if you don't want to walk in the heat. But that's
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful sounding building.
Yes.
We'll do a little bit of this since we mentioned it so much, the sugar cane.
There's a little shade beneath this tree, shields me from relentless heat. An afternoon shower possibly, but then the temperatures increase. The men are working in the fields, and trucks are loaded with that amazing tree. Sugar cane, sweet sugar cane, of our southern dreams. Sugar cane, sweet sugar cane, fireflies in the jasmine city breeze. Go ahead. Yeah. Bridge. Down on the grassy bank, sip our lemonade. Summer passes for the rest of the world, but here we still seek the shade. Barefoot in the cooling creek, minnows darting round our feet. But now it's time to put attention to the fields. Sugar cane, sweet sugar cane, the sweetness of our southern breeze. Sugar cane, sweet sugar cane, fireflies in the jasmine city breeze.
Thank you very much.
We do have,
Thank you.
our albums are for sale at the country store right out here. We're going to have the welcome ceremonies in just a few moments on the main stage, and then Miguel at noon for us. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all for coming. We appreciate it.